right now, if our magnetosphere, right, say it went down for 28 seconds, just 28
28
seconds,
seconds. Okay.
in a certain part of the Earth, do you not know that that part of the Earth would burst into flame?
What?
If we took the solar winds back to a time where they were half of what they are now, right? And let's just say the sun was extremely calm and extremely silent. Even in that time, if you took down the Earth's magnetic shielding in any spot for about 28 days, it would burn everything to about 20 feet in the Earth. Everything would be burnt. The dirt would turn to glass. Everything would change and be a crisp. That's the power of the solar winds. The only reason we're not burned up is because we have a magnetic shielding around the Earth. If that ever leaves,
We're
we're going to
done.
burn up just like with a snap of a fingers. We're going to be toast, right? So, but here's the bad part. We all know the magnetic north has been moving all over the place.
Yeah.
According to historical data, and according to, because every time the Earth volcanoes erupt and everything else, they leave a magnetic signature of where the magnetic north was. Right now, according to geology, according to the historical record in the Earth, the magnetic poles have changed frequently. But every time they did change, something happened. When the North Pole began to move and the South Pole began to move, shortly after that, and I mean shortly after that, there was a chaotic time of the shielding of the Earth. A chaotic time means you had certain areas of the Earth not covered, other areas of the Earth covered, and it was shifting. During this shifting process, vitrification took place on the surface of the planet, which means parts of the planet cooked instantly,
Really?
turned into glass. People vaporized, animals vaporized,
What?
right?
What?
And the opposite happened with a freezing event.
Yeah.
As it's chaotic like this, it may block too much heat, and then you have instant freezing, where a bee was caught frozen in flight, getting whatever it was getting from a flower, actually frozen in ice in flight. Birds captured frozen in flight. Animals frozen while eating or drinking.
Woolly
Right?
mammoth. Yeah.
Yeah, a whole lot more than the woolly mammoth, though. Lots of them. Even see, they like to talk about the woolly mammoth because that was a long time ago. They don't want to talk about some of the recent species of animals, and that
Ah,
would scare people to pieces, right?
right.
So these events, they're cyclical. They happen. Time goes by. They happen again. Time goes by. They happen again. That's why they've been searching for Planet X, because they've been looking for something that's a catalyst for these issues, right?
Right.
But as it turns out, in between these long durational cycles of the destruction that probably were caused by a destroyer of some type, there are about 4 or 5 different cycles of freezing and burning that take place. And we're in one of those cycles now.
Now, let me ask you, you talked about the solar winds. I just looked at Heidi talked about it earlier in the broadcast tonight. Right now, the solar winds is 728 kilometers per second. Now, normally, those solar winds usually average around 333. Okay. That's kind of like a normal. It goes up a little, like into the early low 400s and sometimes down even. But Mike, we've been seeing 500, 600, 700 constantly. That's your point. It's the solar winds are increasing dramatically, and the Earth is absorbing it. Our magnetosphere is under a ton of pressure, isn't it?
It is. It's also fluctuating due to a change of the interiors of the Earth, right? Because
Okay.
the interior
Okay.
of the Earth controls our magnetic shielding. But even if you were to cut the solar winds in half,
Mm-hmm.
those solar winds have the power to destroy all life on Earth.
So our
The
magnetosphere is
only
so important.
That's right. The only thing that stops that is that magnetic field around the Earth. And how it works is all that radioactive wind hits the magnetic shielding. Well, magnets have lines of force. Radiation follows magnetic lines of force. And they happen to go right into the interiors of the planet. Now, I'm about to give you a part of a formula that I use in COT, just a part of it, because some people have wondered how in the world can anybody predict a solar flare? I did that. I think I did that 8 times in a row accurately with
Yeah.
8 different dates, right? And
Yep.
people wondered
I
why.
remember you
Well,
doing that.
here's part of it. When the solar winds are high, all that radiation goes inside the Earth. That's going to cause the magma to heat up.
Mm.
That magma is going to start to cause volcanic eruptions, right? These and volcanic eruptions are quite predictable. Watch and see. We have high solar winds, and a few days later, it's going to cause a buildup in the Earth, which will result in some sort of magmatic event in the Earth. It's almost like clockwork. At the same time, every time the sun has some alteration in the speed of the winds to a certain degree, we know there's a chemistry change on that side of the sun.
Okay.
Now that's you can't see that, but it happens. It'll burn up some fuel on one part, but then it has to replenish. This can often cause a few, magnetic bands to form on the sun, which will eventually turn into a CME or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the process, right? That's without all the numerical data, of course, but that's part of the process. And both operate um, in tandem, right? And the heliosphere has a big part to play in solar flares because you can actually get measurements on the weak parts of the heliosphere. And this is amazing. Every single time there's a weak spot on the heliosphere, why does the sun send a solar flare to that spot?
That's okay. Explain that because I see that happen a lot.
That's an
Why?
amazing. That is an amazing thing. The solar system is like a. It's like a mechanism, right? Much like the mechanisms on the inside of the body. They operate automatically, but they keep balance no matter what. We've gone through turbulent times, yet the solar system somehow stayed in balance and life is still sustained. And I suspect it will always be that way until God's decree comes forth and it does not, and life is no longer sustained. Counting on that, then balance is going to be performed. And you can, by the weaknesses in the heliopause, you can then somewhat predict activities on the sun, especially if you can get a reading on certain radiation levels, intensities of light, and things of that nature. And you can see these things coming. Now, if I can do it, right, with my own stuff, if I can do it, well, then you know that bigger institutions can also do the same.
Absolutely.
And because they're not telling people means they're likely preparing for bigger things. Because if it were no big deal, they would have told everybody by now.
Yeah, it's a big deal. That's why they're building underground cities. That's why they're spending billions, trillions of dollars to try to survive the apocalypse that they know is coming.
Yep, they are.
No doubt.
They are.
Let me ask you. Okay, we've got in something coming, and it's called Comet. Or no, don't call it Comet yet. Not yet. Atlas 3I, this interstellar object coming about 137,000 miles a second, roaring toward us. It's the size of Manhattan. It's shooting off of it 90% nickel, 10% cyanide. We don't know where the iron is at. It's supposed to be there. But here's the key thing. Tomorrow, Mike, and here's a diagram. Tomorrow, it's going to come very close to Mars. Okay. And you can see it right there at
Right.
the top, guys, right there.
Right.
Very close to Mars. The odds of that was very, very, very low. Okay. Very low. But as it goes by Mars, it's also going to make a trip very close to Venus, very close to Jupiter, each time very close to all three of these major planets. The odds of
Right.
this is based on the Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb said 1 in 20,000 chance. It's also anti-gravitational acceleration, which is not what a comet does. Matter of fact, nothing does. So, Mike, are they nervous about this thing, or are they watching it close? What is it? Do we know yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, all of a sudden, they're going to devote several craft to actually get data from it, right? All of a
Mhm.
sudden. So, of course, they're going to get the numbers from it. That would be foolish not to get the data that they need from it. First, identification, right?
Yeah.
They need to enter in that data into an identification system that they can get a proper ident should something like that come by again. They're going to determine what it is. They're going to try and look through it naturally and dissect all that information. Now, it does have a very curious type of trajectory. It does.
It does. Yeah.
It really does. I was thinking about something though. We sometimes all we have seen so far is us, right?
Yeah.
So naturally, that's all people think about.
It's us.
But we know our Father's out there, and that he had Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed,
That's
right?
right.
He made several things happen, right? We know in the old days the destroyer had come.
Yeah.
We know that what Egypt saw. We know that he followed the children of Israel. So God can easily set something in motion. Now, we may not understand all the physics behind it, but he can set things in motion. In fact, if I'm a subscriber to Genesis, that the stars of the heavens are for signs and for seasons. And if I'm not mistaken, that original word in Genesis is signals,
It's
right?
signals. It
For
is.
signals and seasons. So then these smaller objects like comets and things like that, especially when they have these peculiar trajectories, I would say that was highly purposed. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a craft. It means that it was sent, right? Especially if the odds are almost slim to none that it would naturally do that. We have a habit of thinking everything is natural, right? I don't have that luxury anymore. So I know that some certain things are not natural. So we're
Okay.
looking at in the heavens, it's a timepiece. These, psychics and all these folks, they messed it up. But that's what Satan does. Satan will take something intimate to the Father, pervert it, and have people turn away from it.
Yeah.
Right? Um, I think it's important that everybody understands God's creation. God put them up there, not Satan. So yes, we need to know what they are because they dictate God's calendar. They dictate his appointed times. And the more we have an understanding of that, the more accurate we're going to be about certain seasons, right?
You're
Um,
right.
but again, I think that that object